is Sunday, the 9th of August, and this is your weekly weather update for South Australia and WA. Let's start off by having a look at the current weather warnings. So there is strong marine wind and coastal warnings, as well as these yellow areas, which are strong wind and or rain warnings across Sunday and into Monday as well for most of the southern half WA and for all of the South Australian coastal areas, as we have two very active fronts move through. Now, those fronts, they are very wet, they are very windy. WA has experienced most of that yesterday, so sort of Saturday, and then that's coming into South Australia today, so Sunday, but there's another front moving through with a lot less power, a lot less moisture behind it, and then it sort of clears and calms for the rest of the week. So we'll go step by step into that. Starting here, this is Sunday, we can see this strong low pressure system currently sitting over South Australia. These isobars are showing us that the wind direction is coming straight up from the south and they're quite close together. So we've got some strong southerly winds, which we can check out here. Beautiful. Lots of strong gusty southerly winds, 63 to 90 kilometers an hour. So it's very, very windy. There'll be quite cold winds. This is delivering a lot of rainfall, 25 to 50 mils over large parts of sort of the interior of South Australia. But across all of South Australia, we're talking anywhere between 2 and consistently sort of 25 mils, which could be experienced today on Sunday. So that's a lot of rainfall on the way. We can see that that largely eases on Monday. There's still definitely moderate rainfall for especially the sort of southeastern part of WA. And you can see the next front moving through into WA, sorry. So this front, 25 to sort of 15 mils, but more sort of like the 10 to 15 mil range. So that's coming through on Monday. You can see again some southerly breezes, so it'll be quite chilly, but not quite as strong winds, just with that gradient pressure being a little bit weaker. Okay, cool. This is Tuesday. We can see that front has moved across. A lot of that rainfall seems to be landing in the bight rather than on the land. But again, if that front moves just a little bit higher, then we could expect that 5 to 10 mils to fall on the actual coastal areas of South Australia. Wednesday, we can see this high pressure system is moving across now, starting to settle the weather. Only light showers in South Australia on Wednesday. And then Thursday, it really calms and stabilizes. So that's the same for Friday. Saturday, we get this interior burst of rain. This is a funky little system up in the mid levels, which is quite cool. And that's going to hit sort of the central part of WA there. Not maybe a little something here in the north, but this is, yeah, I'll kind of watch that. That might just be part of the model. And this is Sunday, so again relatively stable, but you can see down here this is the next frontal system approaching, which will arrive in WA on Monday. Okay, so that's the rainfall story and sort of the system. So we've got those two fronts, one that's mostly past the two states, and then the next one coming through sort of Monday, late Monday for WA, more Tuesday for South Australia, and then it calms as the high pressure moves in. Just quickly, this is the wind. So we've already had a brief look at it, but you can see very, very strong winds, and that wind is penetrating very far into the interior of the country or up into WA here. So this is going to be quite chilly wind. Whereas if we compare it to, let's say, Thursday, you can see the winds dropped massively as that highs come through, so a lot more calm and stable, which means that I expect that there will be sheep graziers warnings at the start of the week as we have cold, wet and windy conditions, and then towards the end that warning will reduce. Finally, I'm going to show this more so than a city by city breakdown, because I think this is more important and tells a story, because there's quite a lot of activity in the cold pools of air moving across these states that's really hard to capture if we just look at one place. And that cold pocket of air moves quite northward. So if you're towards the sort of center or north of WA, you could be experiencing some quite chilly conditions this week. So let's start here. This is Monday morning, and you can see this big band of 0 to 5 degrees Celsius across the interior here. This could have the potential of bringing frost with it. This is also sort of more settled wind conditions up in the interior, so definitely frost or fog is possible for that. If we go into Tuesday, we can see this cold pool of air down in the southeast. Cool. Same for Wednesday, even a bigger pool of cold air in the morning, and you can see here, -5 to 0 degrees down in this pocket of WA. So definitely a large chance of frost if you're anywhere in those areas. Looking here at Thursday now, we still have that very similar cold pool of air down in the southwest of WA, but that also extends into the northern regions of South Australia as well. So a little bit warmer in the midweek for South Australia, but it's cooling down as the week progresses, mainly as that high starts to move across and really chill those overnight conditions. But even if we look, this is midday Thursday, it's going to get warmer with those sort of sunny, settled conditions, but it's still going to be a relatively cool week. All right, Friday, again, similar pockets of cold air. Saturday, warmer in the morning, and Sunday, warmer than the previous week. Okay, so it's really sort of the midweek that we're getting that frost risk, and it's mainly in WA. South Australia, I'm not seeing a lot of frost risk there. I definitely think it will be cold and the soil will be moist enough that South Australia could expect fog across multiple mornings in the week after those fronts have moved through at the start. Okay, so let's wrap it up here. This is the rainfall accumulation across the week, Sunday to Sunday. You can see that South Australia is getting a lot more of the rain because that frontal system mainly delivered Saturday for WA. We're talking widespread areas of 25 to 50 mils, so that's a lot of rainfall on the way. And as we discussed earlier, a lot of wind associated with that as well. This little pocket here is that interesting sort of mid-level burst that will come into and potentially sprinkle the central parts of WA as well. That's it for the week. Do stay safe and dry and warm. It will be a cold, chilly, windy start to the week, but it will improve as it goes on. All right, we'll see you next time.